Hello there, citizens. I am the terror that flaps in the night. I am the floaty that will not flush no matter how many times you try in the toilet bowl of crime. I am Darkwing Duck, telling you please, talk hard and enjoy the mindgasm. Whatever the heck that means. After all, you are watching Intellectual Podcast with your ears.
Welcome to the Intellectual Podcast number 209. I'm your host, David Dawson, and today's guest is makeup artist extraordinaire, John Aviles. This is 2 weeks in a row with makeup artists. Last week we had Phoenix. Interestingly, Phoenix and John were both the makeup artists on our film, The Recency Effect, a couple of years ago, so kind of neat to have them back to back on the show here to close out 2017. Today is Star Wars Day, so a lot of you I know are going to be going out to the theaters tonight and tomorrow to catch the new Star Wars The Last Jedi. And if early indications are anything to go by, it looks like Rian Johnson has done an amazing job of knocking out the second film in this third trilogy. So really looking forward to that. We will be seeing it as a collective intellectual group tomorrow night. That's Friday. And we will be doing a podcast with the group on our thoughts as we come out of the screening. I'm looking forward to that. It's always fun. It's becoming a bit of a tradition to be doing December Star Wars review podcasts with the group. And it's always a good time. So be sure to check that out, dropping sometime this weekend. And now we're going to get into our final interview of the year with John Aviles, a good friend of mine, a wonderful makeup artist, and an all-around incredible human being. Here it is, the 209th episode of the Intellectual Podcast with John Aviles.
Talk hard and enjoy the mindgasm. The Intellectual Podcast starts now.
Hi, John.
Hey, how's it going, David?
So we're getting started a little bit later than we had planned.
Sorry.
But I think we get probably a good 40 minutes in, so that'll work. That'll work just fine.
Yeah, totally.
How have you been, man? I haven't seen you in forever.
I know, right? Dude, it's been a freaking long time.
Of course, I haven't seen most people in forever. I kind of dropped off the radar for a while.
Which is unfortunate. I was just telling my girlfriend about you, and that I like working with you. You put out good stuff.
I like working with you, too.
Thank you.
Hopefully, I'm going to have something here, the next 6 months to a year that I will need your services on.
Excellent.
But, what have you been working on lately?
Well, just finished up a thing for UCSD. They did a their own version of a haunted house. So me and a team of 5 other makeup artists did up something like 60 or 70 people as zombies.
So is the month of October like Disneyland for the makeup artist?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, we go haywire. We go through so much product, it's ridiculous. I actually have to get more latex and I have to get more blood, and it's just. But yeah, this is the best time.
What's been the coolest October piece of makeup you've gotten to do?
Oh geez. Well, the October stuff is usually just, your zombies and stuff. One of the better ones I think I did was I actually did some exposed teeth on someone in their cheek. And I did 2 different versions of that. I did one where I just painted them in there and had latex kind of stripped over there so it looked like ligaments and whatnot. And then the other one I actually built up something with tissue paper and latex and had I filed down some fake nails and jammed them in there. So look at the teeth were kind of just exposed out there.
That's awesome.
That was a lot of fun.
How long have you been doing effects makeup?
Off and on since about 99.
Yeah. What got you into it? That's the kind of response I like to that question.
What else would get a guy into doing something? A girl.
Yeah, we're simple creatures.
Yes, we are. We're like, oh, pretty, let's walk over there. What is she doing? I don't know. Let's go. So yeah, this really pretty girl I liked at the time. I was going to Maricosta and just she was taking a makeup class, and I just wanted to be next to her. And next thing you know, I'm like, wow, this is actually kind of fun.
That's how I ended up in theater lighting.
See, girl.
Yeah, girl.
Makes sense. Like, oh, she's pretty. Where is she? I don't know. Let's go next to her. That's all I care about.
Yeah. How can I spend more time with her? Mm-hmm. That's the impetus for a lot of things we end up doing.
Oh yes, as guys, like you said, we're pretty simple. Girl says, "I want that." Yes, well, whatever it takes, we'll go get that. Whatever you need. And the girls know this, and they're like, just, I need a new Maserati, honey. Damn it, she knows me. But yeah, it started out pretty simple with your basic, some beauty makeup and stuff like that. But then another friend of mine hooked me up with the Haunted Trail in Balboa Park, mm-hmm. and that was heaven. I learned a lot from working there, and I also was able to develop a lot of my own skills while being there. And I think I was there like 10 or 12 years.
Wow,
and that was a lot of fun. It was a lot of effort too. I mean, because I had a day job, and then I'd go there at night. And then come home like sometimes at 3:00 in the morning and go to work at like 8.
Go back to your day job and then like, rinse and repeat, right?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's a blast. That was so much fun. But that time really is what pushed me into doing a lot of special effects makeup and things like that.
That's cool. Did you grow up in this area? Or?
I know. I'm actually a native of LA.
You're a native of LA?
Yeah. I was, spent some time in Encino, Reseda, Culver City, Santa Monica, Burbank.
You're an LA gypsy.
Yeah. I kind of bopped around for a while, wherever my mom, I was a kid for most of that. Mm-hmm. I moved down here in 96 because the job market in LA was kind of already getting trashed. And then down here it seemed to be blossoming. So came down here back in the days when there was no such thing as traffic.
Back then, 96, 97, the only real traffic was the merge, mm-hmm. 5805, mm-hmm. and they were like expanding all the lanes, so it was mm-hmm. really bad for a few years there.
Yeah.
Now all that traffic is just everywhere.
Oh yeah, no. It's 2:00 in the afternoon and like, why is there traffic? Y'all should be at work. What the hell?
Brian and I had to go downtown Friday night for the San Diego International Film Festival.
Yeah.
And we wanted to get to a 5:00 screening. And he's like, when do we need to leave? I'm like, it's Friday. We should leave. I would like to leave at 3:30 at the absolute latest.
Yeah, totally.
And he's like, oh, that seems so early. He's like, all right, whatever. Then he wasn't ready to go till like 4:00. Oh, 4:10.
Yeah.
Right? So we didn't get down there till 5:30. 5:40. So we missed the first screening entirely. And then we basically had to sit around for 2.5 hours waiting for our next screening. Right?
Man.
I'm like, we could have gotten here and waited a half hour or an hour mm-hmm. before the first movie and ended up waiting here less time than we ended up waiting by leaving late.
Yeah, exactly. No, you have to plan that now.
I just didn't think about it. I'm like, it's Friday in San Diego. We're trying to go south. Like,
hello?
It's a nightmare.
Totally.
It starts being a nightmare at like 1.
Exactly. Yeah. When I first moved down here, it was like the 78 was always wide open. The 5 was always wide open. The 805 always wide open.
It took us 40 minutes to get from Oceanside to the 15.
Jeez Louise.
That's only 7 miles.
That's retarded. I'm probably going to catch all kinds of hell for saying that. I'm sorry, but that's just ridiculous.
Hey, look. It's Sean.
Of the Dead.
You remember Sean?
Oh, yeah.
You did makeup on Sean.
Yeah, it was a giant man over there. Peace. This guy.
You're naked, dude.
Who cares?
Wow.
Sean's at home. His go-to at home is his underwear. He's just going to wander around.
He's just chilling in his underoos.
You say, why aren't you wearing clothes? He says, dude, I'm home.
I relate, my friend.
I want to throw a little context on the relationship here between you and Sean. Why I told Sean he needed to come out and say hello. Right?
Oh, okay.
So you and Phoenix were my makeup artists on The Recency Effect.
Oh, yeah.
And we had a scene where Sean was a victim of nuclear fallout.
Truth. Mm-hmm.
And I told you, okay, I need you to do makeup on, at the time, he was 5?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
He was 5, maybe 4, almost 5.
Yeah.
And I remember you being very nervous about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Kids have their own limitations and things like that, so you have to be especially careful, especially with doing special effects makeup. latex allergies, things like that. Just their own comfort levels.
Yeah,
is what you take into consideration. So,
and how to go with this little guy.
He was amazing. I actually love telling this story because he actually fell asleep while I was doing the makeup. He was a kid after my own heart because I did the same thing.
That's right. You just fell asleep, huh?
Yeah, but he was great.
Can you say something? No, he's gonna be quiet.
And when the microphone's away from him, then
all the noise in the world when the microphone's not on.
See, there you go.
All right, you can go back to doing what you were doing.
All right, Captain
Thanks for coming out and saying hi. I remember you being really nervous about working on him. You're like, I'm not sure how he's going to respond. Like, and I was like, dude, he'll be fine.
He'll be all right.
Trust me, he'll be fine.
And he did great. There's still a picture, I think, in my what I call my morgue, which is where makeup artists keep all their images for reference and things like that. And he had this amazing sour-looking face, and you could just tell he was very tired and stuff. Yeah. But it really worked for the film. Yeah,
because he fell asleep while you were working on him, and then we had to wake him up to go shoot the piece. And the whole time we're shooting him, he's just like, "I want to go back to sleep."
Yeah.
And I'm like, just sit on that merry-go-round and look unhappy, which was really easy for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's so natural.
No, that was a fun shoot.
Yeah, dude, that was one of my favorites. And there's a lot of shoots that I think about, but I have to tell people that I really like working with you because you keep your set very, very professional.
Oh, thank you.
And I absolutely mean that. I had a recent experience with another actress, and she was telling me how the cameraman basically was running the show and how he was, the director was kind of hands off, and the cameraman was kind of, how can I put this nicely, eloquently? He probably should choose a different genre to film in because he was all about sweetheart, come here, sweetheart, look over here, sweetheart, look over here, and stuff like that. And he was very physical with some of the actresses, and you're like, dude, you're a cameraman. You need to be over there.
Yeah, let the director direct. And
yeah, and it was decidedly unprofessional. But I know with your sets, everything I've done with you has been by the book. If there was a SAG situation, you were dealing with that. If there wasn't, you're fine. But everything was very professional, so I really appreciate that very much.
Thank you so much.
No, absolutely.
I've had the benefit of working with a lot of very good people.
Absolutely.
Who and it's a team. Generally, most of the core team at Intellectual, I've been building this team for almost 20 years. So if you don't fit into that kind of professionalism and level of quality that we're looking for,
it's time to go.
You don't come back.
Yeah, no, exactly, exactly.
But it's always been important to me, and a lot of that was instilled in me by my father. Who,
Good.
He had a business degree.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah.
But he was also a writer, and so we were able to connect on the writing side of things.
Sure.
He ended up helping me early in my career. We created Dawson Digital Productions together.
Nice.
The first feature film I produced, he executive produced.
Wow.
Beside me, and so.
Dude, that's cool.
One of those things, like, he was constantly trying to teach me how to be a better leader. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I remember on What's the Vig, I was the DP, but I was also probably the most experienced crew member all the way around. Because even our director was a first-time director.
Okay.
So, a lot of people looked to me for kind of the guidance and the leadership on that set.
Sure.
And there was one day I showed up. I was just in a foul mood. I had a migraine, and I stepped on set with a really sour attitude.
Sure.
And that whole day was a mess.
Mm-hmm.
Just a nightmare. Nothing went well. The shots were,
just
not
rough.
the best shots in the movie.
Yeah.
People were unhappy at the end of the day.
Mm.
And
that's frustrating, man.
My dad, he rode home with me from the set that day. And he was like, okay, look, I understand you didn't feel good this morning. He's like, but you have to understand that organizations reflect leadership. And if the leadership is a mess, then the organization's a mess.
Absolutely.
All the way around.
Yeah.
So if you're going to walk onto set with a bad attitude, everybody's going to have a bad attitude by the middle of the day.
True.
And it's going to be a loss for everybody.
Yeah.
And it was very eye-opening to me.
Mm-hmm.
So the next day, I made a very clear determination to show up on set and have a positive attitude the whole time. Regardless of anything else that was going on, I was not going to let things get to me.
Yeah.
And to see what Saturday was like versus Sunday, and I still had a migraine on Sunday. Like in those days, I had migraines all the time.
Ooh, that's rough, man.
So I had to learn to just ignore the migraine and keep the positive attitude and keep things on track and learn to stay calm in the face of things.
Exactly.
Not let anybody see me sweat.
No, I get you. I totally get that. Yeah, I totally get that.
It was a pivotal moment. I mean, we joke around on this podcast all the time about What's the Vig being, kind of this joke of a movie. And it is the classic thing. I'm proud that we accomplished something.
Yeah.
But what we accomplished is it's not great.
Yeah.
It's fun in its own way. And we had a good time at Film Week. We were throwing stuff at the screen, turned it into The Room kind of screening or,
nice.
Rocky Horror Picture.
Yeah, totally. I was thinking the same thing.
We gave everybody rules and we were like, okay, on these lines, you're going to take a drink. We had margaritas in the theater.
Man.
On these lines, you can take a drink, and on this stuff, you throw a foam baseball at the screen. We had a blast with
funny.
it. But the thing about What's the Vig is I learned a lot. I mean, I already had the organizational side of it, crew members do the things that they do, and let's not step on each other's toes. But the whole professionalism around that was something that What's the Vig really kind of solidified for me, and I think Excellent. A lot of things we've done since then have benefited from the fact that we did that movie.
Nice, yeah.
So we lovingly poke fun at it because it was, for me, it was the best film school experience I had, and it wasn't in film school.
Oh, yeah, okay. I see what you mean.
On the job training.
Yeah. Which is sometimes even better. You get the hands on.
Yeah. So
totally.
It was wonderful. I had to fire somebody off of that set too.
Wow.
It was the first time that I had to fire a crew member.
Wow. That's intense.
And that was interesting.
I bet.
Just
poor behavior or not doing the job well?
He mouthed off at everybody. He never mouthed off at me.
But still.
But he was mouthing off at a lot of people, and
that's not good.
And the final straw was he mouthed off to my dad, our executive producer.
Oh, see,
and
dude,
it was just all right, dude, you can't mouth off at the exec producer. I can forgive everything else. We can have the conversation, but the exec producer has now dropped the hammer, and you've got to go.
Yeah,
it's you just can't do that.
It's like mouthing off to your boss on your first day. That's just not a smart thing.
Yeah, exactly. And this was, 3 weeks into production or something.
Come on now.
He totally should have known better at that point.
Absolutely. That is one thing I like about a number of the sets that I've been on is that you run into a set where someone's acting like a knucklehead or something like that. But for the most part, the sets I've been on, obviously including yours, have been everyone's doing their job. Everyone's very personable with each other. They're not stepping on each other's toes. You have the organization. In the recency effect, I like that even though you at some points literally had 5 people talking to you, you were like this, and then this, and then this, and then this, and then this. And you handle each little situation as it came up. Meanwhile, there were still 1 or 2 more who would sneak in there, and you would still boom, and then hand you a business. Never once did I get the sense that you were, frustrated or losing your cool or anything like that. You just knew the focus was we got to get this project done in this amount of time with this amount of, these amount of people. And that's something I look for when I'm on a set is for people to go and they're just doing their job. That's what I tell people. You leave drama at home. You want to be reality TV drama, go home and have that, be a whoever at your house. But when you're on set, this is your job.
Yeah.
Do your job. It could be a rough set. It could be an easy set. You just got to do your job.
Yeah.
And you can't look at it. I mean, I guess some people look at it as like, oh, this is, they get so involved in it's the art of it. And you're like, well, yeah, there's a lot of artwork, but whether you're an actor, makeup artist, DP, AD, whatever you're doing on set, yeah, you're perfecting your craft, you're into your craft, but it's still your job.
Yeah.
So you get in there and you get your job done, and it just makes everything much more pleasant experience.
Yeah. Well, someone asked me because I've done some AD work this year, and I've done a lot of sound work.
Excellent.
The last couple of years, and you know,
you've been like running up to LA and stuff, haven't you?
I haven't done anything in LA in a while.
Okay.
But I do when the opportunity arises. But but somebody asked me a while back, they're like, how do you do it? How can you be a producer director, but then go on these other sets and play second fiddle to somebody else or third fiddle to somebody else? And I tell everybody the same thing. I'm like, even when I'm directing, like, ego has to get put aside.
Oh yeah.
To, you know, focus on the work, you know? And for me, it's always, what do we need to do to tell the story?
Thank you.
Period.
Yeah.
Like, that's the first starting point in any decision on any set, whether I'm the director or I'm the AD or I'm the sound guy. It's like, what is my task here to accomplish telling this story to its best ability?
Yeah, to its fullest.
And so for me, it's not about ego. I will have my ego outside a set.
Sure.
And I have no problem openly discussing people's work and criticizing and saying, you know, where I think things have fallen short on productions I've been on productions I've watched, like, all the way around.
Sure.
But I don't criticize from ego either. I criticize from, I want to see everybody's films better.
Absolutely.
And I'm a firm believer that we're not going to get better unless we are open with one another. We can't just pat each other on the back. You have to say, what's the Vig's a bad movie?
Yeah. You have to put it out there. Yeah.
Like, I got a lot of pats on the back when What's the Vig came out. There were a lot of people who patted me on the back. Oh, it's so wonderful. It's great. But it's not. You know, it's great that we accomplished something, and you should absolutely pat somebody on the back for finishing a film.
Sure,
right?
by all means.
It's a miracle. It's a miracle that we finish any movie, short film or feature film, otherwise.
Doesn't matter.
But to not be honest about the reception of that work, I think detracts from our ability to grow as filmmakers.
Yeah, no, I would actually agree with that, especially in the culture that we're living in, where everything is, you know, you don't hurt someone's feelings, so to speak. I don't think, I mean, if I'm doing a job and someone, it doesn't matter if I'm acting or if I'm just the guy clicking the slate or whatever. I've been on sets like that where they just needed extra help and I was the guy clicking the slate and I had never done it before. So they said, do this and do this and this. If you're not open to hear that, then you can't learn. You can't do a better job.
Right.
You know, so, and with me, with the makeup side of things, I've learned things from being on set and watching other makeup artists. Recently, I learned a new skill from my girlfriend who told me about a set she was on where they had a number of makeup artists, and this one guy, you know, had this one technique he did, and I was like, "Wow, yeah, that's really smart." And I tried it, and I was able to put out 4 masks, basically, that we used in a play, and then 2 short films.
Nice.
And I was like, "Wow, okay." But if you're not open to that, then you can't learn. And also, if someone who maybe isn't like maybe has someone that's more experienced comes to you and says, "Hey, try this, try that." If your ego gets in the way, then you start going, "Oh, you know, I'm better than you," and blah, 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 and you miss the opportunity to learn a new task, a new skill. Mm-hmm. So, especially in the makeup realm, I always feel like I leave myself like a slate, like an empty slate. You know, if you have something that I don't know, man, tell me.
Right.
I want to know this. And if I did a job that you didn't feel was good, I want to improve on this.
Right.
You know, for me, I like going to the director and saying, "What do you think about this? What do you think about that? Does this look good? Does that look good? Does this meet what you want?" Because it's really not about me. I mean, I've also been on shoots where I did something I thought I liked. I thought it looked really good. And either the actor or the director was like, "It's not what I'm looking for." Okay, well, what do you want? And they tell me and I do what I can to put it. And at the end of the day, they're happy because they did what they want.
Right.
You know, like you said, pull the ego out of it. Get your job done. Your job is to make the film the best it can be. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, it's always difficult because whatever job you're doing, even if you're the director, you're not necessarily the end all be all of
True.
What's going to be on screen.
True.
Your producers have a way that they want things to look. Your writer's going to lobby to try and have things the way they want to look. So, across the board, it's a collaborative
absolutely
business, but we also need to build our reels, right?
Totally.
And so sometimes you're looking at a piece of footage and you're like, it's not it's not what I want to put in my reel because it doesn't really represent what I did,
right?
Or what I would have done,
right?
So we're always competing with that too. Like,
sure.
How do we keep our own signatures on stuff that we're doing while collaborating with other people?
That's kind of the weird thing about this particular field. You want to work with good people and collaborate with a lot of good people, but there's also that individual need to show your talent. So it's a weird dichotomy of, I want to work with a good team and promote the team and push the team to get the film done, but at the same time I need to promote myself, because the business is not like going to a 9 to 5 job. It's not every day for the next 20 years.
Right.
It's different. It's like being an independent contractor going to different jobs. You may be in the same field, makeup, directing, producing, whatever, for 20 years, but it's a different shoot every time.
Yep.
So you have to keep.
It's always a unique situation.
Yeah.
We attended. Brian and I attended this producers panel, the business of filmmaking at the San Diego International, and one of the producers said in that, because they're talking about producing and what it is to be a producer, and it's something I've said on the show a few times, but it was nice to hear it from somebody higher up in the business. If you're going to be a producer, like, you have to be the type of person who's willing to be an entrepreneur and the type who does startups, right?
Yeah.
Because you're going to be starting a new business 3 times a year.
Wow.
Right? Because every film is its own business.
Dang, yeah.
And certainly when you start getting to where there's real budgets and stuff, have you ever really watched the credits at the end of a good budgeted film? Oftentimes there's a business name in the final lines of the credits that is the film names, LLC.
Yeah.
Every film is its own business. It has its own bank account. It has its own employment deals and contracts and whatever. So you got the production companies who come in and contribute to making the film. Yeah. But they oftentimes are members of the LLC of that particular film. Yeah. And so it really is, every single film is a unique experience because it's a unique business venture.
Totally. And I've seen that too. When I watch films, you'll see that usually the name of the film, like, there'll be the production companies, the big name production companies, Jim and whatever. But then you'll also see produced by, and it'll be like the name of the film with a little cute little tagline on it, and you're going, oh. And then you start to, when you see a lot of films, you have to go, oh, okay, so that's this particular film's business element. Yep. And that's a fascinating thing. Like I said, it's very entrepreneurial, very startup company every single time.
Yeah, I mean, we don't do it on our little tiny short films, that we're doing around town, but. I'm hoping to get a series off the ground, and
that would be sick.
My father wrote a feature film that I want to make, and we've actually worked up the LLC documents, for my dad's film already, because it was part of a production pitch that we were doing 10 years ago. Wow. So I've already got the paperwork in place to launch that when we're ready to go. But it is daunting to think about. The business of making, a really decent production. Yeah. And all the people that you'd be responsible for hiring and paying. And, we budgeted out a 30-minute short film the other day and tried to base it on, I want to say it was modified low budget, maybe ultra low budget agreements with SAG. Okay. And then, rates for the crew that I know are fair. They're not the bottom of the barrel, but they're fair. Right. And this 30-minute short, the budget for it is $110,000 easy. Wow. So when you start really getting into this stuff, they are startup businesses. Yeah. When you're trying to raise $100,000 or more to create something. Yeah. You're doing the same thing that a lot of people are trying to do when they're trying to open a restaurant. Absolutely. They're trying to raise $100,000, $150,000 to operate for a year on, and get their things up and going. And it's daunting. It's daunting to think that going forward, the next level of this business for myself, for you, for all of us, is we have to start getting into that entrepreneurial startup business mentality. Every film is a startup business.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I see some of the things, some of the studios starting to look at San Diego, which is kind of exciting. You know, we had Pitch and we had Animal Kingdom, I think it is.
Animal Kingdom, yeah. The Animal Kingdom does like 13 days of shooting in Oceanside.
Yeah.
Pitch did, I want to say it was 20-something days of shooting total for that season. Shame it didn't get picked back up.
Yeah.
But like The Last Ship was down here shooting some stuff a month or two ago.
Yeah.
So it's good, you know, it's good that some of that's starting to come back.
Yeah.
That stuff right now is still a little bit of a low impact overall on our community.
Well, sure.
You know, because they're still bringing down primarily the IATSE members from LA and
right.
staff up their crews. But it's a start.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's a start for them to start looking down here for that sort of stuff. And it's great that Brandy Shimabukuro is at the office downtown and able to help them with permitting and getting stuff like that. But there's still a lot of key elements that need to be put in place, and it's such a process trying to get the industry rebuilt here. You know,
exactly. Ever since I think it was Stu Siegel saying like ever since like after the whole 9/11 situation that his studio had to go through a dramatic change because the same kind of shows weren't being produced, and he's obviously the big studio down here. Yeah. But I think it's interesting and kind of cool that at least there's some buzz going on, and like you said, it'll take a long time before anything really comes down here. But I think San Diego has pretty much anything any filmmaker could ever want. Best locations, a lot of talent down here. Yeah. You know, and it's unfortunate that a lot of talent has to go back up to LA, you know, or up to LA, I should say, to get a career. But there's a lot of talent down here. Yeah. You know, on all levels, you know, filmmakers, makeup artists, sound guys, actors, all these different people are down here, and they're trying to, like I said, build up their reel and do the things down here. But it'd be nice to see, you know, some of the bigger industries come down here, even if it's like a small budget film, to come down here and really take advantage of what we have to offer. Because you know, I've said amongst other people on set, you can go from the mountains to the beach in just like an hour or two. Yeah, and have totally different climates too. Yeah, you can have really cold down to pretty temperate. Yeah, all within a couple of hours.
Yeah, we got Rocky Mountain peaks, we got gentle rolling hills. We've got high plains, we've got low plains, we got desert, we've got you know, forest. It's all here in San Diego.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can get to almost anything you need here.
Yeah, even urban environments too. Yeah, you go up to Alpine or something like that or Julian for snow, but it is possible. Yeah, you know, and then you also have big urban sites. You have downtown San Diego, and there's also other spots within the area where you can find stuff like that. So
yeah, and with all the construction that's happened in downtown looks more like a big city than it ever did in the past. You know,
I would agree with that. Yeah,
you pick the right street at the right angle, and it can be convincingly enough.
Oh, absolutely.
Any number of large cities around. Absolutely. But it's an interesting thing. It's like chicken or the egg. You know, which one comes first? Do we wait for a film commission, like a real film commission, to come into existence here, and then hope that we can get the work after that, or do we have to kind of create the work on our own to finally get the city off its ass to really give us a real film commission? You know, it's like what needs to happen first.
I like how you put that.
You know what I mean? It's a tough thing.
There seems to be some resistance towards some of the arts in San Diego, you know, like filmmaking specifically, but I do appreciate the amount of effort that filmmakers are putting into getting their films pushed out there. Yeah, you know, get it done. Even if
we got to start figuring out how to get the general population on our side of things, though.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's the next step, because I don't think anything will happen politically until we have, you know, kind of a cry from the general voting population. Yeah, like, these people need help.
Yeah. You know? Yeah, no, I agree with that. And putting the independent film, having these film festivals is great. It does get the people out there. It does show the really cool films that are being produced down here. Some of them are amazing. But yeah, I agree with you. When the public starts being more involved in it on a generalized level, then I think we'll start getting the push. Because that's the thing with every political structures. They only get moving when enough people get under their butts and say, "Come on, let's go. There's something happening over here."
You need people to champion it.
Yeah, exactly.
If you can't get the people to champion it, it just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
There's no political impetus.
Yeah.
To
exactly.
get it done.
They just kind of sit there and like, whatever.
If the voting population are just quiet about it,
exactly.
If they're indifferent, then so is the politicians.
Exactly, and that's I think where we have that's kind of the uphill of our job to break the indifference that's involved, because the film industry, the independent film industry is pretty big down here. I mean, there's every so like with some regularity. Weekend after weekend after weekend. Oh, I'm filming this. I'm producing this. Next 3 weeks, something like that's going to happen. I just another director friend of mine just called me in, and he said he's working on a project that he wants to get up off the ground in about 3-4 weeks, and that happens with some regularity, not just during Halloween, but throughout the year. Hey, I'm producing
here's a
this
question
thing.
I have for you. How many of these projects? Because I know you're regularly working on a lot of stuff. How much of the stuff you're working on is paying you versus how much you're volunteering on?
Lately, there actually has been a bit of an upswing, and that's, I think, primarily because I've gotten to the point where I'm saying, look, I can't do a lot of the volunteer work because there's gas involved. I have to pay for my supplies, which in the makeup realm, even if I'm making my own supplies, it still can be pretty expensive.
Right.
There have been some opportunities that I am very, very thankful for recently where the pay was pretty decent, and that was definitely helping me through some more challenging times. I would like to see more of that, not just for makeup artists, but just in general. But you're still, or at least I'm still encountering a lot of the, we want you on set to do this very elaborate makeup job that's going to require anywhere between 7 solid hours of your work, or of your time rather, or up to 2 or 3 days, or maybe even a week of your time, your effort, your supplies. But we're not going to pay you for that. You do this because you love it. And my argument with that is, doctors and lawyers and even pizza delivery guys don't do anything for free. This is a job for us. So whether you're the director or whether you're an actor or a makeup artist, having a little pay is real nice. But I have noticed that with me, there has been an upswing probably for the past year, maybe a year and a half, where I've gotten more jobs that are actually paying as opposed to the volunteer work.
That's good.
I'm very happy with that. I am really super stoked about that, because then I can start, when there's a budget involved, then I'm able to do more. Right. My work improves because I have better supplies. And then I'm going, okay, well, I don't have to worry about, am I going to pay my phone bill this month, or am I going to pay this? I got paid for this job, and that covers that. Right. So that's really nice.
That's an interesting point, because like a lot of people keep asking me, you haven't done much in a year, and we haven't heard of you working on any projects of your own, like intellectual attainment hasn't. Like, we've been doing stuff. Sure. Like, we produced 12 episodes of the Intellectual Talk Show for television.
Sure, nice.
Which, the deal that we had in place for that kind of fell apart. And the episodes never ended up making it on TV.
Oh, that sucks.
We've released a few of them online, but,
nice.
We put a lot of effort into those shows. They were hour-long TV shows,
Wow, okay, yeah.
So we put a ton of effort into that for a good 4, 5, 6 months.
Wow.
Putting those together. And it was all for naught. So
that's frustrating.
I don't think people always understand that there's oftentimes a lot of things going on that you're just not aware of, and for whatever reason it just doesn't happen. But I mean, if you can imagine, we were doing a 3-camera shoot, studio setup kind of deal, and I had a crew that was working on that regularly. There was like 4 or 5 of us that were working on that on a regular basis, plus Whitney co-hosting with me, and then whatever guests we had coming in, and I had to prep everything for that constantly. Sure. It was a lot of work.
Oh yeah.
And it was all volunteer.
Jeez. Yeah.
And it was volunteer because we all had this idea that it was going to get onto TV. We could eventually sell some advertising, whatever, but that agreement just fell apart.
Jeez, man.
And and nothing ended up coming of it. So, you know, it was a lot of effort by the intellectuals on something that ended up not turning into, you know, what we were anticipating.
Exactly.
And that happens.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, no, that is part
but
of.
It's tough, you know. And so I asked the intellectuals to take a leap of faith on that with me and try and make this happen. And we're really proud of what we did, but in the end, you know, we can't place a phone call with that pride.
Right. Totally.
So the idea of trying to get more productions up and running and whatnot. And look, this is all I do.
Yeah.
Right. Filmmaking is all I do. I have the benefit of living in a situation where that can be my primary focus.
Excellent.
You know, I still have my car payment that I got to make.
Yeah.
I still have other things that I got to do. So I work for other people and I do other things. But when we're producing our own projects, when I've got my own script that I want to make, I don't have any money for that.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
We're trying to get permits to shoot something at the end of the month. We're working on a project with Jeff Zook.
Oh, nice.
And I want to do it right, you know, in terms of like, I want to get the permits. I don't want to be hiding from the cops while we're shooting, you know, and that sort of stuff.
Yeah. I totally
just
get that.
looking at the permitting process, you know, between insurance for the production and paying for the permit and potentially having to pay multiple days for the permit, you know, we're looking at $500, $600.
Yeah.
Just right off the top for the privilege to go shoot a movie.
Right.
You know, on location somewhere. And for me, that's 4 days of work.
Exactly.
Just to pay for the permitting, you know.
Who has that kind of money just lying around, you know?
So a lot of people are like, why aren't you doing more stuff? And it's like, look, I did the one thing, asked everybody to volunteer their time, and it didn't pan out. Now I'm trying to do another thing that's just a small thing. It's a 2-day commitment. And it's going to cost me basically all the money I made this month. You know, theoretically.
Yeah.
Because I lost 2 road gigs that were supposed to happen this month. You know, it's just like,
dude,
when you start getting into the mechanics of it, it's like, I'm a filmmaker and I want to make movies, but I also don't want to dump on everybody to help me make my movies constantly. I want to get to the point where I'm paying people.
Yeah, totally.
But that's the next phase, right? Like, I got to figure out how to get other people to come in and contribute money on these films, you know? And I thought for a while that crowdfunding would be the way to go.
Yeah.
And we successfully crowdfunded things happen. But, you know, over the last 2 or 3 years, like watching all the different crowdfunding campaigns, and I contributed to a lot in town because I'm a firm believer that I should put my money where my mouth is.
Yeah.
If people are going to contribute to my campaigns, I need to do it for others.
Yeah.
But what I started seeing was a bit of a circle jerk going on in town.
Oh, no.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
Where it's all of us contributing to our crowdfunding campaigns, you know? And it's like, well, the people that I'm hoping to pay from this crowdfunding are the ones contributing to the crowdfunding.
So, yeah,
it starts becoming like, well, this isn't really working either.
No.
You know? It's just pretending that we're figuring out how to pay for things, and we're really not. We're just kind of repaying each other back. And, you know,
yeah, well, which kind of goes back to the whole volunteer kind of thing. It's like
it's just the same thing. It was just you know, money changing hands, just round and round and round and round.
It's passing a $20 bill around the table.
I've become very disillusioned with the crowdfunding. You know, and so, like, you know, the big thing I've been saying for the last couple months is we have to, as a community, start figuring out how to engage the general public at large. Right, with the things that we do, and get them to back what we're doing, and get them to back us politically, back us financially. You know, start figuring that side of it out.
Yeah, I mean, you figure there are plenty of local sports teams that do that. You know, you hear about the stuff like that with, like, you know, Little League baseball and stuff like that. They'll go and they'll get sponsors for their teams, and you know, and that's the hard part too, because you don't want to bring in certain advertising and have them kind of take over, but if they could fund and, you know, get some product placement, that's fine. But the hard part, like you said, is just getting the money to get into the project without having to listen to some guy or some gal who has no idea what's going on, who thinks suddenly that they're a massive producer, and they start just chiming off stuff, and you're like, no, you're just helping. You're just money. You need to sit back there and
it's always difficult when you start bringing money on board, because
exactly.
people have expectations on what their involvement is.
Exactly.
Oh, it's tough trying to figure it all out.
It is, but at the same time, I'll say this. I mean, yes, the filmmaking in San Diego is really tough, but but I think in a way there's less of the competition that there would be in LA because LA is saturated with it. Mm-hmm. But which means that for us, I think down here we still get to enjoy our filmmaking. Like I've been on a volunteer set on numerous occasions, and I've had a blast.
Right.
Because I'm working with people I really like to work with, people who are professional, people who do take their job seriously, who aren't there just to goof around. And I've been on sets where I got paid, and you're like, oh God, what are you guys doing? Thank you,
Right.
Thank you. I'm getting paid, but what are you doing?
Yeah.
You have literally no idea what's happening right now.
Yeah.
I've been on sets where the person wanted, like big time production stuff to happen on their set, and they had one cameraman, one sound guy, a couple of really new actors, and you're going. I'm on the set like, so basically you want the thing on like a $200 budget. Yeah.
Managing expectations is a big part of it.
Exactly. I mean, I like that we get to, make our films and enjoy them and be around people that we like. Our community is pretty small and you work with a lot of really cool people. But I definitely agree with you that, bringing some backing in here would be great because of the amount of talent that is down here. Mm-hmm. Not just from people in my field, obviously, the directors, the actors, producers, sound people, all these different people are down here who actually have talent, and to bring the money in so that we can start making at least eke out a basic living, because I don't know, I don't have the mentality that I want to be Mr. Multimillionaire. I want to be able to pay my bills and have a decent living and not worry about, where can I pay my phone bill? Can I get a new car? I want to be able to do my job and get paid well.
Right.
And I think that's the mentality that I've seen in a number of people in an area.
I think that's why my primary focus right now is trying to figure out the details of the series that I want to shoot. Mm-hmm. I think I may have mentioned it to you, Midnight Rest.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The Rest Stop serial killer project.
Yeah.
Started out as a feature film idea, but the more I look at what we're doing around here, the more I'm like, we need to bring some series into town, things that'll keep people employed for several months.
Yes.
And keep them working. So like I'm trying to adapt that idea from what was originally kind of a loose feature film idea into kind of a cohesive, say, 10-episode event series, something that theoretically could keep a group of us employed for a good 6 months to 10 months.
Yeah.
And I want to try, I don't want to do that as a volunteer project. Like, it's got to be a paid deal. It's got, so
at the same time, you don't want to have a paid deal where you're sitting there and you're, pulling out a loan for umpteen,
Right. Well, nobody would give me a loan for that.
Yeah. No, exactly. That's
I've been a starving artist for way too long. Like my credit won't allow for that. So.
No, I hear you, dude.
So
that's
what
struggle.
do I got to do to get the interest level up in the business people in town that I do know, who I know invest in things, and how do I figure out how to get that rolling? And that's the thing I'm working on right now. That's the thing that I'm constantly, like, every morning from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed. That's the thought that's churning around in my brain right now is, what do I need to do? What's the package I got to put together? What's the presentation package for those people that I've got to put together? How do I get them all into a room together, and how do I get them excited to jump on board with creating a series here in San Diego and funding it for us, and then what is the distribution model for that? The beautiful thing is with all the streaming services and stuff that are coming up, I think we can find the distribution for a series, if it's done well, fairly easily.
Yeah, because you have like Hulu and Amazon and Netflix.
But then how do I find the ROI for the guys who are investing? And because the other thing is, a lot of those streaming services aren't paying a lot for the things that they're buying. So we have to like figure out that threshold of cost to make and pay everybody well, but we're not going to get rich, but we're going to be working artists. That's my goal, is to have everybody being a working artist. And then how do we also make enough money back from that we can pay off those investors where they will fund a second season for us. So trying to figure that out is where I'm at right now.
They got.
But boy, it's a big, giant, ugly jigsaw puzzle, right?
Totally. There's so many. Well, yeah, like you point out, there's so many pieces involved in it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's so many different elements. I mean, you definitely want to be able to pay your crew and in your cast and all that, and then at the same time, you definitely want to have enough money to produce your next season, and to pay your investors back and all that.
Yeah.
Like you said, when money gets involved, things get really sticky because everyone wants their piece of the pie. I think that with San Diego, one of the elements that I like is that, as you pointed out and as I pointed out, it's not necessarily that we're looking to get super rich or anything like that. We just want to be, paid artists. We want to be able to pay our bills.
Be valued.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You want to be valued. You want to be recognized for your talent. You want to be able to pay your bills. You want to, but at the same time, you don't want to have your day job and your what you consider your profession, because that gets really taxing. Yeah. You go to work and by the time you get home, you're kind of burnt out, but you know that this weekend I got to do this thing.
Yeah. So, I do the corporate AV thing, so I bounce around doing that, and people follow me on Facebook and they see the traveling and, and I try to make as much fun out of those trips as I can. Sure. I see the eclipse and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Totally.
But it's still, it's a job that takes me away from here and occupies my time, and and even though it's a related field, and I'm learning things even on those shows that help me, be a better director when I come to make my films. Yeah, it's still not working doing the thing that I really want to be doing, and the thing that I love, and the thing that, quite frankly, I think I'm best at. Yeah, you know? I totally hear you. Making movies is the thing in life that I am best at. I'm not saying I'm the best at it.
Right, but that's where your talent is.
But that's where my talent lies, and that's where my passion lies, and that's where I want to be.
Absolutely.
So we got to figure that out.
Yeah, totally.
But you got to get off to work, right? Yeah. You got to get going. Speaking of jobs. Day jobs. So thanks for stopping by and chatting. It's been a fun chat. I didn't know exactly what we would talk about,
No,
talk about makeup the whole time or talk about other stuff. But,
this is very cool.
But it's always fun to just talk film with my friends,
Totally. And I'm totally down with just hanging out and, doing this again, or just chilling, grab a cup of coffee, something like that. Yeah. So, on a happy side, I just started dating someone and we're almost inseparable. So, I'm just...
It's fun seeing you on Facebook.
Yeah. Wait, John's smiling? What? What? No.
Where'd the dark cloud go?
I know. Yeah, I get that a lot.
Yeah, it's good to see you though, John.
Oh man, good to see you, man.
Good to see you. Thanks for coming by,
dude. Anytime. Yeah. All right, like.
The old saying, "You never get a second chance to make a first impression." That phrase is incredibly true in our business. In entertainment, your first impression can mean everything. It can mean the difference of booking a job or not booking a job, having an audition or not having an audition. That first impression can get you in the door and make things happen. And for an actor, that first impression is the headshot. First and foremost, casting directors, producers, they're going to see your headshot and they're going to make decisions about whether or not you get seen based on that one image. So it's incredibly important to make that image an investment in your future. And to do that, you want to find the right photographer, someone who's going to work with you to craft the perfect image, the perfect first impression. And I suggest you check out portraitsbypeggy.com. Peggy's been doing photography since the 80s, and she really knows her stuff. And she wants to work with you to craft the perfect captured image, the one that captures the uniqueness of you and helps you book the job. She wants to work with you. She wants to really get into who you are, what sort of jobs you're trying to book, and help you get the perfect image. So check out portraitsbypeggy.com and book your portfolio session today.